Rev up your engine. Here's a 2006, still with the original owner. Let's check the inside. It starts right up. And as you can see, it's got 231,000 miles on it. We'll put it in gear, still doesn't shake all that bad. So you're gonna see surface rust, and on the heads, the aluminum's all corroded. That doesn't mean anything. It still runs fine. Now, if you're gonna buy one of these, you really want the 6 at a minimum. You don't want a 4-cylinder engine. Doesn't have enough power to have the all-wheel drive system going. With these, you really got to go with a 6-cylinder engine. Now, even with all this mileage, 231,000 miles, he gets 24 miles a gallon on the highway in this thing. Like I said, sure, it's a Ford. We look under here, we're gonna find rust spots. There's no arguing that, but it's not horrible. The frame is still pretty solid. There's a couple parts where it's starting to rot through, where they put the drain plugs, and he's still got his spare tire. Good luck getting it down though in an emergency. That looks pretty rusted out. You can see looking back here, it's got independent suspension. It's not a solid live axle like an old one was. So you actually get a much better ride in one of these things. Because with the independent suspension, it's not a solid axle. It's gonna bump and ride like a truck. These do not ride that bad. Now the new ones ride even better, but really, I like these because they're more trucky. The new ones really are kind of crossover type things. They look more like a cross between a car and a station wagon than they do this, which is more on truck chassis. These old ones are actually a lot better built. Now he paid $26 for this all loaded. You want to get an all loaded one today, you're gonna pay about $12,000 more than that on top of it. Prices have changed over time, and not for the better. Here's something, even though it's in Rhode Island, it's got AC on it and it still works. Everything still works. As you can see, there's wear from seats and stuff, but it's still not in bad shape, and it's got a lot of space. It's kind of funny that now Mazda's got stuff they're doing with Toyota. Well, back in the day, Mazda had stuff they're doing with Ford. Some of the vehicles were pretty much interchangeable. This particular one, it was solid built. It's got the American V6 engine in it. And when we open the back, like I say, these things have a lot of room. He's still got the original security top too, so he can put stuff in here and the thieves won't see it. As we start it up, this particular one still has a 4-speed automatic with overdrive. It's not one of those insane 10 speeds. It's a relatively simple, pretty bulletproof transmission. 231,000 miles. You think he's put a fortune in this thing? No, he hasn't. Just a few weeks ago, he had to put an alternator on, had the original one. This has been a very good vehicle for him. He's certainly getting his money's worth out of it. And sure, it's a little bit bouncy. Let's face it, this is based on a truck chassis. It handles good enough. You're gonna get bouncy when you're going on, but hey, it's still going quite strong with all that mileage. He drains and refills his transmission every 50,000 miles or so. We're gonna check that out in a minute. Now it's all, but let's come to a stop and see what these V6 engine can still do and how the tranny shifts. We'll floor it, and nice sound. Look at that. You can barely even feel the transmission shift with 231,000 miles on it. And it's still got a reasonably quiet ride. As radical as the tire tread is, the only thing we're really hearing is the tires rolling down the road. And the brakes still work fine. Now it is a Ford, so what about the engine? Sure, it doesn't look so hot, but does it burn oil? Yes, it does burn oil. About 1/4 of a quart every 5,000 miles. And who's gonna complain about that? Even my Celica does that. And yeah, you know, you see superficial rust, but it's still a solid vehicle. You're always gonna get the bare bolts rusting. That's just what happens to them if you're in a place like Rhode Island, near the ocean. Of course, the alloy wheels are gonna get pitted because all the coating that they put on it is long gone, and now it's fading away. But that's just cosmetic too. They're not gonna break, they just look a little funky. You can polish them up and... But the owner, a man after my own heart, said he's just gonna drive it into the ground. And it might be quite some time before it makes it into the ground too. Heavy frame, yeah, it's got some rust, but I've seen 10 times worse than that. Hey, this thing's still got a ton of life left in it. The modern ones, no. I've actually seen those things wear out when they had 85,000 miles on them. And I've seen the turbos break at 65,000 miles on it. No turbo on this baby, it's naturally aspirated. Now he's also done the shocks on it, but he did the fronts himself. These are very easy vehicles to work on. They're not complex, they go back to the olden days. But on the other hand, they're not too olden days. There's no stupid carburetor to mess around in, it's fuel injected. It doesn't even have a distributor. It's got coil on plug ignition system. So it's a modern vehicle, even though it's a 2006, and parts are cheap. You go to a discount auto parts store. You don't have to order stuff. They'll have them lying around. They sold tons of these things. So when you do need to fix them, you can either fix them yourself or find a good mechanic who'll fix it, and you won't be waiting for expensive parts, and you won't be waiting forever to get it fixed because they're not that hard to work on. And he listened to me, put Akabono brake pads himself on the front, and they're really quiet. He thanked me for that. But look at the working room. There's lots of room to work on these things. And the modern ones, the engine's half hidden. You can't get to anything. And this was before the day that they put beauty covers on them. So really, when you look at it overall, the guy's getting his money's worth, and who knows how long it'll go before it drives itself into the ground. I like the old style. It's more of a manly vehicle. It's more of a truck. The new ones, they really are crossovers. This is more like a truck, and it handles more like a truck, and it can take more like a truck. And from my experience with the modern GDI, fuel-injected, turbocharged, EcoBoost Ford engine, this thing's gonna outlast them by a country mile. So now you know all about a Ford Escape. How they used to make them really well. So if you're looking for a good used one, maybe not such a bad idea. I don't think I'd fork out all that money for a brand new one that isn't a solid build. It certainly won't last as long. Sure, you get a little bit better gas mileage, but at what price? And here's some bonus questions and answers. You know, I've been warning you about those systems that save you from yourself, automatic braking and all that. Well, there's a woman in Ontario, in Canada, who says her Hyundai keeps slamming the brakes on, scaring the heck out of her. Now, Erica bought a 2019 Hyundai Tucson in July 2019 and spent $47,000. Well, various times it has braked by itself. The system's not working right. She took it in. They said they fixed it. Then weeks later, it did it again. They said they fixed it. Absolute worst thing happened. She was on the Queen Elizabeth Highway there outside of Toronto. She was doing 120 kilometers an hour when the car just slammed its brakes on and came to an abrupt halt. She said it scared her to death. She thought she was going to die. She went back to Hyundai and said, "You told me 3 times you fixed this. It's not fixed. Just give me my money back." And you know what they said? "We're not going to give you your money back, but you can trade it in on a new one." Well, one, why would you want to trade it in for the same company that's screwing up? But here's the hilarious thing. To show how little they stand behind their own products. She paid $47,000 for the car a year and a half ago. They offered her $21,000 on a trade-in. So they're basically saying, our car's a piece of crap. We're going to give you way less than half of what the car costs. Oh, and it's a year and a half old. It's bad PR, obviously, that they're going to offer that little amount for a car. It's only a year and a half old. They'll certainly gladly take the $47,000, but we'll give you $21,000 for it. I don't understand these companies. Back in the day, when I was learning to do stuff, my father ran a garage, and his policy was this: if a customer was not satisfied, regardless of the problem, he would return their money and say, "Well, here's your money back." And I did that my whole career, too, fixing cars. Somebody's not happy? One woman was nuts. I put a clutch in her car for 1/4 of what the dealer charged. And she's whining and moaning. I said, "Okay, well, here's your $400 back." I said, "Just take the $400 and go away." You don't want to get bad vibes in a business, right? Well, obviously, Hyundai does not care. And this is Hyundai in Toronto, in Canada, where people are supposed to be really polite, right? Not only did they not fix the car and they wouldn't take it back, they said, "Well, you can trade it in, but we'll give you $21,000 a year and a half after you paid $47,000 for the car." So, that's what I got to say about Hyundai. Run away from them. FM McCann says, 07 Lexus ES350, the headlights aren't terrible, but they're somewhat yellow. Does anything work to fix them? You can polish them. You can even use toothpaste. Now, if you want to try the best thing to do and the cheapest, go to any auto parts store and buy the 3M kit. They have a 3M kit for restoring headlights. It's 20-something bucks. It costs very little. And if you spend about 40 minutes using the kit, you'll probably get a really good thing. It'll look shiny. What I did on my wife's Lexus was, said, "To heck with that," and I went after market. And I bought some beautiful Halo ones that looked a lot cooler, and I bolted them in. Now, if you can find ones that you like the look of, you can actually upgrade your car. 14 years old, you can get newer headlights, and if they sell them that fit, it's going to look like a newer car. So you might go that route. They really look nice. So if you never want to miss another one of my new car repair videos, remember to ring that bell.